Ready, guys. Hey everybody, I'm Maggie and we're back on SRH Access Facebook Live. Today we're really excited because we're here with two members from our Center for Excellence in Limb Lengthening, a Division Director, Dr. Alex Cherkashin, and Co-Director, Dr. David Podeszwa. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you guys. We've had Dr. Podeszwa a couple times and now it's the first time for Dr. Cherkashin, so we're really excited. Today we're talking all about devices and the history that we have used them for limb lengthening treatment. So to kind of get started, what is the history of, maybe let's start with the Elizarov method of the hospital.
Elizarov method, this is called by the name of Dr. Elizarov. This is the Russian professor and academician who was working there. It's difficult to understand that 60 years ago. And he introduced a circular system for limb lengthening deformity correction. This is kind of contraption you put around the patient's legs or arm to make it straighter and make it longer. So it's called external fixator because the controls are external, so physicians or patient family can adjust the frame in order to gradually correct the deformity or make the extremity longer. So the key point is gradual. It allows gradual and precise correction. So this is external fixation. And this is how the original Elizarov device was made. But as you can imagine, it's 60 years old, so it needs a little bit of improvement. So right now there is different devices which were developed from the original Elizarov approach. So approach still stands. So we still call it Elizarov frame, Elizarov treatment, when we put something external on the patient to correct the deformity or equalize the length of extremities. But it's not necessarily the device itself was exactly the same as what used 60 years ago.
Yeah, so you've kind of seen it evolve over the years, I'm sure.
I'm not only involved, we're actually part of making it evolve, and one of the first iteration developed here called TrueLock, was just named given by the company because whatever we develop here in Scottish Rite, we license to the companies that can be distributed to different orthopedic hospitals. So TrueLock was the first iteration, different iteration from Elizarov frame. It was designed to make a little bit more comfortable life of the patient inside the frame and also make it a little bit easier for surgeons to apply. But since then there was multiple ones, and obviously recently we usually use the hexapod devices. This is a device which has 6 struts which allows more precise and more flexible correction of the deformities.
So Dr. Podeszwa, I know that you guys work very closely with these devices and with the patients and making sure that this is the correct treatment depending on their condition. So what are you seeing, what patients do you see most commonly with their injury or with their condition that they're needing this treatment?
So it's patients that either have congenital conditions, post-traumatic conditions very frequently. And it's not just patients that need lengthening. The initial use of the frame was used for a lot of patients that needed lengthening. We now have other devices that we can use for lengthening bones, lengthening extremities, if they don't have deformity. The importance of the use of the Elizarov frame and the Elizarov method are for patients that may need length but also have significant deformity about a bone or a joint that needs correction, and you can't do it by any other method other than by slowly, gradually doing it so that the muscles and particularly the nerves can tolerate the correction.
Okay. So Dr. Cherkashin, what is it that you're working with these patients? I know that you're doing a lot on the device side and building these devices, so can you give a little insight on what that looks like?
My main position is in research. Okay, whenever is patient involved and needed the treatment, it's not only one surgeon who is doing it, it's a team, and team involves a lot of members. There's the physical therapist, there is nurse, there is child life, it's a lot of people. Again, unfortunately, medicine in general, I believe, and orthopedics, it's sometimes more art than it is science, and without skilled surgeon, you cannot do much. But on the side of the development and research, this is where I'm involved with our research team. So first of all, we work on the development and improvement of the devices themselves. And secondly, devices become quite complicated, so you cannot simply just turn something, because it's, as I said, it can be 6 different struts involved to adjust in the position of one fragment of the bone relative to another fragment. So you need the software to run it. So this is where our expertise, and it's not only me, it's a big research team, and it's actually an international research team. So here in Scottish Rite, we developed the software which allows to control those fragments, and it basically gives the prescription for the patient how to do it. So my particular work, design development of frame software, and also we study in clinical results how actually treatment went, how successful we were, what were problem we encountered, so we can improve on further treatments. So research on outcome studies and development of hardware and software.
So the software that's building this, I mean, is it something ongoing? I mean, you're constantly making changes and improving this device in order to better the treatment of these kids.
There's two things. Of course, you have to improve the device itself. We call it usually hardware, because this is the piece of metal with plastic and everything. But you also have to deal with software. Hardware you have to improve, and it should be authorized by some, legal authorities like FDA and everything. So you can just simply make something and make it better. You have to make something better, and you have to test it, prove it, and then you have to apply for the approval so it will be allowed to use on the patients. And same with the second part is software. What we decided to do, like any software which people are using right now, your smartphone software or your office software, if it's not updated, it becomes outdated. So we constantly changing and updated software. Like next year, at the beginning of next year, will be released new portion of the software for the patient smartphone application. So patients now can have application on their smartphone which will remind them to adjust the struts, tell them how and when to adjust them, also remind them to take care of their frame, to take care of the pin sides, and give them some motivation and some motivational messages what to do, and also allows to communicate with surgeon directly. So if something is not going right, the surgeon can know in real time, so there's no problems.
So there's a lot of education that goes along with doing this treatment.
A tremendous amount. We take it very seriously in the sense that it's a process to get ready for this type of treatment, and it's a process to go through it. As a surgeon, our parts in surgery itself was only a few hours, but this is something that requires days and weeks and even months of preparation, both on our side and on the patient's side. And then when you have something like this on your leg, for example, it could be on your leg for 6 to 9 months. So there's a lot that goes into using it, tolerating it, and really maximizing the outcome and minimizing the complications that can be associated with it.
And I think to really kind of round everything out, I mean, the Center for Excellence in Limb Lengthening, it's education, it's research, it's a lot that goes into it in order to give the best possible care to these patients. So I know that you guys and your team are traveling around the world to educate about this, to share your research. So can you kind of give insight about what you guys do with that?
Yes, and again, the equipment in orthopedics become more and more complicated. It's now more capable of doing things, but it's also not something you can just technically take out of the box and start using. So
right.
Surgeons have to be educated and have to be trained. Some of the training goes during the medical school, but unfortunately, as the devices are developing really, really fast pace, some things you need to get additional training. And we partnered with the company which is actually selling this device, distributes this device all over the world. Again, the devices are done and developed here in Scottish Rite Hospital, but they distributed by the company called Orthofix. And the company, together with the hospital, sponsor a lot of travel. By the way, in about 20 minutes I have to leave and go to Brazil. This will be doing the training for Brazilian surgeons, because this frame is very, very popular. It's used in more than 50 different countries all over the world, and of course physicians has to be trained. So very often we do training here in Scottish Rite Hospital, because this is nice and very interesting venue, very good and very successful. But sometimes we have to go to the place where the surgeon works and do the training there.
And I think that's a little bit understated at times. So Dr. Cherkashin and another one of our partners, Dr. Samchikov, are humble people, and we have to recognize the fact that we're incredibly lucky here at Scottish Rite to have them. There's nowhere else in North America for sure, and probably in the world, where there have been two people working at the institution who trained under and worked side by side with Professor Ilzarov, and then came before coming to the U.S. and coming to Scottish Rite. Their experience, their expertise in developing these techniques has allowed Scottish Rite to be on the forefront of this. And as he was saying, what's been developed here has touched literally every corner of the world. You can't put your finger on a map and not have the work that's been done here in large part by them have touched children and adults all over the world. And we're incredibly fortunate to be able to do that and offer that. And it's that expertise and that experience worldwide that's allowed us to advance what we do for kids here at Scottish Rite.
That's great. So humble you are. I mean, we got to wrap this up so you can go to Brazil. So you can go teach more people.
Yes.
But thank you guys so much for both joining us. And I mean, we are very lucky to have such an awesome team here to learn from and to keep treating our kids. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for your time, and we'll be back next week. Thank you.